So it is a beautiful late afternoon, very foggy. It is about 3 p.m. Getting a late start. So there's a couple mineralized zones we wanted to take a look at today. Over here is one of them. So you can see these big chunks of overburden, which are very, very oxidized. These rocks here are mineralized. What I'm seeing is primarily you have disseminated pyrite. Some of these, you can see right there, you have a big chunk of iron pyrite and then a little bit of dissemination. So you can see all this rusty material. You can see right there, big hunk of iron pyrite. Then you have chalcopyrite disseminated. So you can see the color difference in these rocks here. You have a lighter gray. These are all oxidized over here. More there. So this pile comes from a deposit down that way, which we're going to go take a look at. And what you have is material like this. So brecciated conglomerate. You can see you have a matrix, rocks cemented in the matrix. We've done tests on this and your actual rock is mineralized, and you have free mill gold in some of the rocks as well as in the matrix. So right there you can see you have iron pyrite, and again right there. So you can actually see it a bit better without the light on. Bunch of big hunks there, mineralized throughout the rock. Here's another example of one of the rocks. You can see disseminations of pyrite. And of course it starts raining. So you can see how much oxidized rock is here. There's no actual physical deposit in this area that's anything economic to mine. However, we do have a deposit on the other side, which is showing some promise. We got an exposed ore body. Also, we have another exposed area down there. We found about 10 or 12 deposits along this side of the mountain and just one on the other side. So for today, we're going to go and we're going to sample a couple of them, take a look at some mineralization. Okay, so here's a few more samples. You can see you have a vein running throughout this one, and you also have it found as disseminations. Basically all your silvery looking metal is iron pyrite, and you have a little bit of chalcopyrite mixed in there, but it's not the primary sulfide. So loads of samples here. All this right there. So it's definitely a fine green sulfide. We're going to take a bunch of these samples with us because some of them look very nice. So here's one of the spots. You can see all the rusty rocks and your fine grained matrix So there's hordes and hordes of these exposures all along this road. You can see here, you got iron pyrite right there. So loads and loads of these. This is consistent with the deposit on the other side at the quarry. We got about 2 kilometers of these. We're gonna sample one of them. Okay, so you've seen us sample this before. We crushed it down, panned some of it, and we found that most of the AU was in the matrix. But what we wanted to do is actually get some samples of the solid rock inside the matrix. So we're gonna head up, chip away a little bit, and try and find some samples where there's sulfide mineralization, and we're gonna test those and see what comes back in the analysis. You can see this exposure is part of the 2 kilometer zone of mineralization and extends for quite a ways. Keeps going and going. So it's exposed way down there for about 10 or 11 different areas. This is probably the bigger one that's exposed. We're hoping that they log this up here soon. They've logged everything below this tree line here. So even without hammering, we're finding samples of mineralization. You can see all that there. That's a nice looking sample. Another one here. Pyrite and chalcopyrite. So I think what we'll do is we'll scour down here before we even bother looking up there, because there is some decent samples. Alright, so the goal here is just to chip away a few of the larger rocks that we can find in there away from the matrix. We're going to hammer them open and check the mineralization if there is any. So far I think we'll send a few samples in from what we've found already. So here's one of the random ones we hammered from there. You can see disseminations of iron pyrite. Let's look at the other ones. Another one we hammered open. Just loaded with mineral. A few more. You can see there, more mineralization. The interesting thing about this is there's more than one rock type that we're finding that has mineralization, so it tells you that it travels across different contacts. Right here you have bornite. So that's interesting. So we got a few more here of the rusty oxidized rocks, and as you can see, the rustier the rock, the more mineralization. So right here you have a solid hunk of pyrite. It's super fine grained. You can see all this gray stuff there is pyrite. The stuff that's not wet right here, you can definitely tell that is iron pyrite, and so is that. It's a little bit more difficult to see because of the water. But we got hordes and hordes and hordes of this stuff we could remove from that showing. So this is similar to the stuff that's on the front side of the mountain, which gives you the indication that there is more than one deposit or one giant deposit. All this is float material which has made its way away from the deposit and then has been cemented. So again, all this gray stuff here, all mineral. So we picked up hordes and hordes of samples. We're going to send some in for an analysis. A couple of the road grab samples, and then we're going to send this in as well. So it's about 7:30 p.m. Too late for us. Keep seeing cougar tracks, so we're going to head out. So we want to go down here, but we're not sure if we should. I don't know what kind of animal makes those.